When you talk about Jordan and his team dominating, they dominated the 90s. But when you put him with those Lakers teams and those Pistons teams and those Celtics teams, they all beat him. They just did. What separated Jordan from all of us was he was the first one to three-peat. But he didn't three-peat against Magic, Larry, and Dr. J. Stephen A., what do you make of those comments?
I find them to be unfortunate. Isiah Thomas is actually right. He's factually correct. But why say that at this particular moment in time? You have to know Isiah Thomas is a brilliant man, highly intelligent. You have to know that making that statement, immediately feeding off of what transpired in The Last Dance Part 4 docuseries, okay? You know how it's going to be interpreted. It's going to be interpreted as sour grapes. It's going to be interpreted as spilled milk. It's going to be interpreted, with him having a problem with Jordan. Jordan called, his actions in 1991 en route to the first title BS. He said nobody could convince him that Isiah Thomas wasn't an a-hole at the time. Isiah Thomas, if you know anything about him, highly offended about him. You know anything about his friends, the people that he knows, particularly in Chicago, highly offended by it. But Jordan was making a statement about how he felt in 1991, not how he feels now. How he feels now is Isiah Thomas is the second greatest point guard outside of Magic Johnson in the history of basketball. I have tremendous respect. I spoke to Jordan. This is what he said about Isiah Thomas. He said, that's my feelings then. I have mad respect for him now. Okay? So it's done. What Isiah Thomas saying something like this, yeah, you're right. Jordan, the young Jordan, who didn't have any help until Scottie Pippen arrived in '87 and beyond. No, he didn't beat Magic. He didn't beat you. He didn't beat Larry Bird. All of that's true. Most people did it. Okay? Jordan started winning like his 8th or 9th year in the league. That happens. In the end, though, when you say something like this and you take it to this point, Max, what you're saying to people is that you're ultra sensitive to what he had to say. If Jordan said, that's how I feel now, that would be different. If he's talking about what he felt at the time, let it go. We're grown men. Let it go.
Isiah Thomas is one of my favorite players of all time. I loved Isiah Thomas when I was a kid.
Mine's too.
But I remember the All-Star game when Dr. J, his last one, dropped 20-something, and Isiah got the MVP of the All-Star game. I believe that was on the same day that Alexis Arguello knocked out Billy Costello. You could look that up, but as memory serves, I was 8 years old watching it on TV, something like that.
Yes.
Anyway, the point is, Stephen A., love Isiah. There's a reason they're called the Bad Boy Pistons. And who did he say was the co-captain? Bill Laimbeer. Laimbeer worse than him, but they've both been on this show recently, both not giving Jordan the credit that he deserves. It is so clear that Jordan is the greatest player of all time that when you choose someone else, you're simply making a point or revealing a bias. Let's be very clear about this. You say he's right on the facts? Kinda, not really. Let me state the facts very plainly. Here are just the facts. Michael Jordan never played with a single other All-Star until Pippen made his first All-Star game, at which point he took Isiah's Pistons, the defending champions who would go on to repeat, 7 games. Pippen had a migraine in Game 7, so once again, Jordan was without an All-Star. When he was with an All-Star, at least one other, he never didn't win the finals in under 7 games, including against Magic Johnson and the Lakers, who he smoked. He smoked Magic Johnson and the Lakers. He would have destroyed, the Michael Jordan Bulls would have destroyed everything in their path. That goes for the Larry Bird Celtics, the Magic Johnson Lakers, and the Isiah Thomas Pistons. Smoked them. Michael Jordan eliminated, let me just put some myths to bed right now, eliminated more 60-win teams than any player in the history of basketball in the playoffs. Do you know why they have the reputation? Oh, they didn't get to compete against the Celtics and the Lakers and the Pistons. though they did. They knocked the Pistons out in a sweep and then knocked the Lakers out in 5 games for their first chip. Well, those teams were old by then. What would they have done in their primes? The reason it doesn't look like they beat great teams when those teams were in their primes is because those other teams didn't have a chance to be great because they ran into the Bulls. The Utah Jazz were going to be champions if it wasn't for the Bulls. This is a 60-win team with 3 great players all in their primes, 2 top 50 players. They got eliminated twice in under 7 games. The Sonics were a 64-win team. They'd have been considered an all-time great team, but they got eliminated in under 7 games. The Orlando Magic, same thing, 60-win team, Shaq and Penny in their primes. Sweep. Jordan took care of the old-timers, and then the young Bucks who were on their way up never had a chance to be champs because he smoked them. He'd have beaten the Celtics and the Lakers too.
Max, that's not what Isiah was talking about. He's talking about the Celtics in their prime, the Lake Show, and the Pistons in their prime. We all know that he beat Magic Johnson. We know he smoked the old Pistons en route to the 91 finals, his first championship. We all know that. He's talking about the 80s, but in the end, here's what it comes down to. Isiah Thomas is going to turn 59 years old tomorrow. Tomorrow is his birthday. He's going to be 59 years old. You love him as a basketball player. I love him as a basketball player and a person. Isiah Thomas and I have been friends for decades. I love that man. All I'm saying is that he's so feisty, and he's always ready for a fight. And he has this insatiable appetite to make sure you understand precisely and exactly where he's coming from. If there's one piece of advice that I could potentially give him, and I don't know if he'll listen to it, to be quite honest with you, and that's within his right because he's a champion and a Hall of Famer and one of the greatest players ever, okay? The reality is there's certain things you have to let go, because I can assure you this. Jordan is not going to apologize for how he felt about the Pistons back then. He don't give a damn. I promise you that. His mentality is they're going to get over it. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.